What's going on, everybody? This is Joel with Muddy Crux Off-Road. Today we're working on another Mountain Vista Fab product. Today we're putting on the steering brace. So he offers two different steering braces. He's got an Ultimate and then the Standard. I just did the Standard. I don't wheel it that hard yet, so I don't need the Ultimate. If you're building a wheeling rig, you'll definitely want the Ultimate brace. It gives you another support for that main shaft on your steering box to help with slop and play, and it gives you a lot better responsive steering. So stick around. We're going to throw this bad boy in real quick. I'm going to give you a couple tips and tricks that I had to figure out on the way. That'll help you install it. Okay, so this is what we're working on today. Today we're doing the Mountain Vista Fab steering box brace. He has two different versions of this. This is the simple one, the less expensive one. He has one that has a bearing and another support on the sector shaft of the steering gear. That one's a little bit more money, and that's not what I needed for this particular build. So I'm just doing the simple one. It gives you another brace between your frame rails, help with some rigidity there, and take some of the load off of your steering box when you've got big oversized tires. So in order to do this brace, we're gonna have to take down the sway bar. So I've also got new sway bar bushings, and then I've got sway bar disconnects that I'm going to cover in another video. Okay, so right here we have our steering box, and that's where that little loop in the brace is going to go around. It's going to go on just on the other side of that pitman arm around the base of the sector shaft on the steering gear. The mounting points are under the factory sway bar bolts. So we're going to take a 15mm socket. We're going to loosen those two and those two. I'm using a 3/8 Milwaukee impact, and it broke them right loose. I've been soaking them with PB Blaster for the last 2 or 3 days, just because this Jeep is from the Midwest, the Rust Belt, and I didn't want to have to deal with those bolts spinning. So I soaked them with PB Blaster a couple days before I did this. That's what the oil you see is. So I hit them with the Milwaukee impact and they came right out. So I'm going to take these out and I'm going to show you what's next. Okay, so we got the bolts out, sway bars down, and mind you, the sway bar is just going to fall. So mine's got a 4-inch lift on it, so it's got the Rough Country sway bars on it, so it just pivots down. So when you take that last bolt out, make sure you're ready for it, because it's going to come down, and it's probably a 10-pound steel bar that's going to bounce off your forehead if you're not paying attention. So next we're going to swap out the bushings on the sway bar because it's down and mine are trashed. But we are going to put the brace up in here and get everything settled in. And unfortunately I don't have a helper today, so I'm gonna have to do this, and then I'll show you what it looks like and we'll go from there. Okay, so on my particular Jeep, the low radiator hose was modified. It was cut too short, so I've got another one of those on order. But my Jeep's 4-liter, and if you have the V8, I know for a fact you won't have to mess with the radiator hose. But like I said, mine has about 3 inches chopped off of it, and it was riding too close to the gearbox for my comfort, so I'm gonna replace that. But this is what it looks like when you get it up in there. Okay, so it's going to mount to your factory sway bar bushing, or your sway bar mount holes. Then that collar is going to go around the main shaft of the steering box. Okay, so I've got it bolted up. So got two 15mm bolts there that are tightened up. Got two 15mm bolts here that are all tightened up. Now we're going to tighten up the bolts on the steering gear here. Trying to make it so you can see. Hold on a second. You can kind of see how it works. It grips the lowest portion of the housing on the sector shaft. So I'm going to take a couple, I'm going to take a 9/16 socket, 9/16 wrench, and I'm going to run those bolts down. And he gave us lock nuts, nylon lock nuts, so they're not going to back themselves out. Okay, so I got the
steering brace all on there. We got the 2 bolts here, the 2 bolts over there. Tighten these bolts around the sector shaft up. I had to make a custom radiator hose. Well, I guess I didn't have to, but it made me more comfortable because the stock radiator hose, trying to hold a light in the camera here, stock radiator hose like cut up right through here and leaned against the steering box and that bracket. So it just made me more comfortable to make my own. So what I did was I went to O'Reilly's and I bought basically another stock hose, so I could use the 90 off of it from the radiator, and then I used the 90, this part was supposed to be down there, and I put a splice in between them, and then that top part that goes to the water pump is part of the stock hose, and I just had to shorten it so there was no kinks or anything, and put another splice there. So I'm really happy how that turned out. It gave me some more clearance on this side. I'm not necessarily saying you have to do that, but that's what I did to make everything more comfortable for me. Hey guys, I just want to say thanks again so much for watching. If you haven't yet, make sure you subscribe to the channel. We've got a bunch of videos coming out here soon. I've got another one that's going to come up here in a couple days. It's going to be a rough country sway bar disconnects. I got some frame stiffeners. I'm looking at my pile of parts. I've got some rear springs. I've got a bunch of rear suspension stuff. I've got steering stuff I need to put on. So I've got a bunch of stuff in store for you guys. Make sure you hit that bell, like the video, comment, tell me what you think, tell me what you want to see. We're going to get out and do some wheeling here soon, and we're going to throw that up on here for you to enjoy as well. Thanks again for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.